So today is a theme like if you all got the email, the theme today is really similar to several other sessions we've had, in that the task in general, the basic wisdom is that it's not what's happening in the world, it's how we're responding to what's happening in the world. And so the more intense something gets in the world, whether it's a personal situation or just how we read the news, then it's up to us to increase our inner, our inner stability in order to maintain some balance in the world. And we've done that a couple of times. I'm talking about sort of asking the question, what's in the way? And what are some things that we can come to mind in terms of somebody that we haven't yet forgiven, or resentment we may have toward people that sometimes we may not know or ever meet, but we know a lot about. Let's put that as in generic terms as possible. Or resentments or fears toward ourselves and toward life in general. Whatever is blocking that inner being, we can call love, light, and wonder. So whatever's in the way is really the task. And I think the tools of mindfulness and compassion are the perfect tools for that. It's one of the reasons they've been used for centuries. And I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I did some research. I found out that mindfulness was present in Christianity for 2,000 years. I thought, that's weird. Why is this mindfulness meditation comes originally out of the Buddhist tradition, also in Christianity? I thought, that's weird. So I started taking a look at other religions. In Judaism, I started doing some research, and lo and behold, there's exactly the same meditation by a rabbi in 1600. Says this meditation is for you to get know your own true nature. And it says it's existed since the Old Testament, and the fathers of Judaism, Abraham and such, used to practice this. So I thought, well, that's weird. How about Hinduism? Well, lo and behold, in Hinduism, there's a branch called the Advaita tradition, and the Advaita tradition broke with most of Hinduism because Hinduism talked about the Atman, meaning the essential self, that we have an essential self. And the non-Atman, I think it's called, but the Advaita tradition says, no, it's not really like that. There's like a common mind, there's a common being, there's a common consciousness. So there isn't, and we may have certain perspectives within that, but that's all temporary. And so the Advaita tradition has this same meditation. I said, well, what about Islam? That'd be interesting. So I took a look at Islam, and I had to look at the Sufis, because usually it's the contemplative traditions within any religion that are that do these practices. And lo and behold, there's a practice in the Sufi tradition that's exactly the same thing. It's about for us to get to know, become more aware of our own being, our own true nature. And I might mention in every religion, except perhaps Buddhism, because it's been around in Buddhism for a long time, that the Orthodox, mostly the Orthodox or the exoteric parts of the religion, do not like the mystics, because you can't control them. They say, forget it, I'm going off into the mountains. No, come back, you need to sit in the pew. No, see you later. And so I figured that there was this drive, this sort of mystical drive, this drive for what you want to call God consciousness, self-awareness, whatever. In every religion, and the exoteric traditions are skeptical at best and repressive at worst of these practices. The Sufis really had a hard time having to hide from the extremists and all that sort of stuff. But so I was doing some more research, like where did this come from? Does it exist anywhere except the contemporary religions? And I found a reference to 18,000 years ago, a place that's now in southwest China, that there was a teacher who came and brought a number of teachings, including this meditation. So this meditation has been around for a long time, and so we have the real gift of being able to have these practices. It's really pretty spectacular. So, but the reason why one of the reasons, I mean, obviously there's many reasons, many benefits, but the reason why I am so enamored of it is because it shows us the spots that we don't want to look at in a manner that doesn't freak us out. We may not like it, but we can tolerate it enough to begin to work with it, like a resentment or feeling small or whatever it is. And so the mindfulness meditation helps us hold things in a neutral space of loving kindness, so that we don't get all these strong emotions about it, fear or shame or that sort of thing. Just hold it for a while and begin to be able to apply, since it's stable in our consciousness, being able to apply compassion to that situation or whatever your tradition you're involved in, but to find out more information. What is this about? And and also it sets the groundwork for loving kindness in this blessed pause, and then that helps. That's one more step is into compassion, which is easily said and difficult to do. So we, in these practices, become more and more, what would be the word, used to, I guess, or skillful at finding things we don't particularly like in ourselves and working through them with wisdom and compassion. So the question of social action and action in general, when there's turmoil or things we don't, political turmoil, social turmoil, and things that are occurring that go completely against our conscience, then the question is, what do we do? And so the task is to figure out the wisest, the most compassionate path. But first, we have to let go of wanting to put somebody in prison or drop a bomb on them or something like that. We have to let go of that because, number one, we're not going to be able to do that. And two is, it doesn't, even if we did, it doesn't take care of the problem, because the problem is in the principle and the energy of the situation. Both Christianity and Judaism and Hindu, they all talk about you reap just what you sow. And so what we're reaping right now is sowing of lots and lots and lots of bad behavior for many centuries. And so you can't stop that. It's like a tsunami that's already in progress. But we can acclimate ourselves to the times and taking care of ourselves and other people. And one thing that really eliminates the fear for our own safety is compassion for others. And when we do that, all the inner turmoil begins to settle down. I was reading something just yesterday in the Washington Post that, and I didn't know this until yesterday, that Switzerland has an extensive network of shelters, disaster shelters all around the country that can house 19 million people. I thought, that's a really good idea. Well, it's a little late now, but anyway, and what they're doing, what they're doing is that they're refurbishing everything. They're putting all this money and effort into refurbishing all of this, so that their entire population, if something goes terribly wrong, everybody will be okay. And to me, that's real compassion. Not only wisdom, knowing, being able to read the signs of what the problems are. And they read the signs after World War II. As I understand it, this project came out in World War II. After World War II, they said, look, people out there are nuts. So in case, and the weather now is all messed up. So we got crazy people and we got messed up weather. We're going to need a place that's safe. And they got plenty of mountains, and it's just, anyway. So they're preparing, and to me that's an act of wisdom and compassion. Now, whether or not we have similar options, it's the inner stability that's really important, because when that occurs, we can face anything, whatever it is. And so the topic is once again pointed to that. The exercise we'll be doing is the compassionate friend in this context, and to be open to anything in us that holds us back from wisdom and or compassion, in the form of resentments or fears or limitations or on family programming that doesn't serve us well anymore, whatever it may be, and do a little bit of that work to be aware of it and to bring wisdom and compassion to it. And as we've talked about also a number of times, that most of those, I don't know what to call them, things or programs or whatever, are within us, sentiments or obstacles, obscurations, whatever you want to call it. Those are usually habitual patterns, almost always. And those habitual patterns are by definition superficial to our being. Therefore, they're temporary, if we choose for them to be temporary. Because some people live with their habitual patterns, cling to them to their very last breath. Not the way I want to go. So so this gives us an opportunity. These practices give us an opportunity to take a look at whatever's down there that's itching or bothering us. Like a little kid pulling at us, going, "I need some attention," and we can pay attention to it and bring our wisdom and compassion to it, and begin to start the process of its dissolution. And when we do so, we tend to get a little bit lighter, a little bit more stable, a little more happy, and a little more balanced in the process. So typically with the spiritual friend exercise, we leave the question open to the compassionate friend, whatever the compassionate friend wants to bring. That's what. And but this is bearing in mind, not necessarily asking a specific question, like how can I be more ready for Armageddon, but to just leave it open. What am I not seeing? What am I missing? What's bothering me that I can't even figure out what's bothering me? And that sort of just leaving it an open question, being open to that, and see what happens. The compassionate friend is, by definition, is wisdom and compassion, embodied in whatever the conceptual form it arrives in, whether it's just a feeling or a light or a person, or like Gandalf, just or whoever it may be, and however it shows up, and that's the source of wisdom and compassion, and can help us to recognize and work through some of that stuff down there that's been bothering us for a long time, and that's in the way. A lot of times we think, oh, I don't have to do that today, stuff like that. Well, it's just like laundry. You don't have to do it today. And you get up tomorrow and go, well, I don't really have to do it today. And just keep adding to the pile until after a while, you get up in the morning, you don't have any clean clothes to wear. So time to be late for work and do some laundry. So this is a way of just doing the laundry, keeping things clean and clear as best we can. And lastly, I was thinking about Choki Nima, who I've a couple times played his video on this, and he's keep the mind as calm as possible, as kind as possible, and as clear as possible. No calm, no kind, no kind, no clear. And it's very simple, and I need simple, basically. And when we do that as the result of clearing up what's in the way. Because our true nature is calm, kind, and clear. And so when we're not calm, kind, and clear, then we're not so happy. So we'll begin with just sitting for a little while, and then we'll start in with the compassionate friend. So everybody in a comfortable position, and we'll begin. And allowing ourselves to settle down into silence like the bell, like the bell of the ringing, coming to rest. And knowing for the next few moments we can let go of the world. And when thoughts or feelings arise, just recognizing them as thoughts and let them go. Like a dandelion seed on the wind. And bringing our awareness back to the present moment. And as thoughts tend to arise all by themselves, it's just our mind's habit. And as such, again, recognizing the thought as a thought, releasing it and returning our awareness back to just sitting. Knowing that whatever our awareness tends to attach to, they're all just thoughts or emotions, and transient in nature. And each time we do that, we settle each time a little more in what can be called the pause and the presence. And letting go each time something arises in the mind. And allowing ourselves to experience this pause between thoughts as best we can. And settling into this place. Some call it serenity, peace of mind, no mind. But in short, it's just being, without having to fix anything or do anything or earn anything or get rid of anything. Just sitting. And as we let go, feeling perhaps surrounded by compassion in a field of wisdom. And savoring this sense of being as best we can. Experiencing its presence. And now imagining yourself, your very being, in a safe and wondrous space. It could be someplace you've been before, or it could be completely imaginative, or it could be out in space somewhere, whatever arises for you. But a place that is comfortable, welcoming, nurturing, warm, and safe. And letting it arise naturally and becoming aware of our surroundings, whatever it is. looking at the details around us, and absorbing the feelings of safety, and perhaps wonder. Nurturing, peaceful, safe. And all this is in preparation for a friend who is on the way, who will be arriving in a few moments. A compassionate friend, the essence of wisdom and compassion. And a being who knows absolutely everything about you, from your very point of origin to this very moment, and everything in between. In whatever form this takes, experiencing the unconditional love and caring and wisdom of this being. And as this being arrives, opening to the presence of unconditional and infinite wisdom and compassion. And receiving your visitor in whatever way is appropriate. With deep mutual love and affection. And this compassionate friend wants the very best for you. Always has and always will. And this compassionate being maybe in front of you and with you right now, having arrived or has already arrived. And feeling the resonance of the presence of this friend. Unconditional acceptance of who you are and your being. And as such, sensing that this compassionate friend has something for you, either words of wisdom or a feeling, compassion, a perspective on things, healing, whatever it may be, whatever it is that your being needs most at this point in time. And sensing this and being able to receive it, whatever is being offered. And being able to absorb this wisdom, this compassion, this perspective or understanding, whatever it is, from your compassionate friend, feeling it making you a bit more whole as your own being. And allowing ourselves to absorb this and have it be a part of our being. Accepting it as part of our being. As naturally and as easily as breathing. And in the fullness of this experience, drawing to a close soon, your compassionate friend may have something to give you. It may be in a material form or it may not. Or simply the presence is enough. And as this encounter in its fullness comes to a close, giving any parting words if you feel moved to do so. And as your compassionate friend leaves, resting for a moment in the reverberation of the experience, and absorbing it as best you can, as a sponge absorbs water. And as we let go of the encounter, coming back to the mindful space of equanimity, place without concept or direction. And further letting the experience settle in. And settling into the present moment. So that when the bell rings again, we can bring this with us as we go about our day. And come back to it at any time.